Before I get started, I wanted to do a disclaimer. I spent most of my life in either Christianity or Islam, both religions that teach you there's a specific way things should be done in order for God to love you, to even notice you. And one of those ways is you're supposed to invite people to the faith. You're supposed to tell people that they're not living their life right and they need to come the way you've come, because it's the only way God can bless you and even think about you as if you do it this specific set of way. I never invited anybody because in my heart I never felt that way. I never felt that if somebody needed to have God in their life that they need to come to the religion that I chose. I felt it was a personal choice. Even from a little girl, I knew I would watch people be called up to the altar and hear the pastor basically berate them or make them think that everything going wrong in their life is because they didn't come to Jesus. And then I come to Islam, and it's basically the same thing. The reason why your life isn't so great or you're not accessing your great power is because you don't know Allah. I never bought those things. I thought that religion was definitely a vehicle, but there are many different religions and many different vehicles. So what happened when I left both religions and I have taken on a more spiritual path, I would find myself trying to people please and make sure I didn't offend people in Islam or people in Christianity by the things I believed. I cannot do that anymore. It is never my intent to offend anybody, but my path is mine and I have to authentically be here as Tracy. I didn't like feeling phony or feeling that I wasn't being true to me to try to please other people. And I won't do that anymore. So you may hear things on my videos that don't resonate with you, and you know how to hit stop, you know how to just discard it, but I'm not ever going to live in such a way that I'm trying to please other people and not please myself, the God within me, and what I believe. What I believe is just as valid as what you believe. I'm in no way saying that having a religion makes you wrong. I don't think it makes you wrong. I think it makes you you, and it works for you. But it didn't work for me. It worked for me until it didn't work for me. And it took courage for me to walk away from Christianity into Islam. And it took even more courage for me to walk away from Islam into my own path. But I've done it. I just wanted to give that disclaimer so that you don't think that I am in any way trying to berate or belittle anybody. But I am going to be true to Tracy. There we go. That's why I greet everybody like this. Assalamu alaikum, namaste, hotep, shalom alaikum, peace. How you doing? This is Tracy Lene Muhammad, and I wanted a few minutes of your time to share with you a ritual that I did that helped me heal the little girl, the inner child in me. Now, I was born to a very young mother, and she didn't want to be a mother. She was very young and unmarried, and I don't blame her for that. At that age that she was, it was difficult, and especially in 1968, being an unwed teenage mother was frowned upon. So in her being pregnant, she didn't want to be pregnant, so she didn't acknowledge the pregnancy, and she was scared and ashamed. All of those things that come along with when you're doing something that the majority of society tells you is wrong, dirty, and bad. So consequently, all of those things helped shape me. And I spent my childhood and a lot of my adult life people pleasing, trying to prove that I deserved to be here, that I wasn't unworthy, that I wasn't unwanted, that I wasn't unwelcome, that I wasn't ugly, that I wasn't black, or that I too black. All of those things that society gives you, plus being in a womb that you're not welcomed in. All of those things helped to shape some of the choices that I made. That little girl needed to be healed. And I spent a lot of time looking for that healing in religion. And I did get some leeway in both religions as to how to heal it. Some of the rituals really worked. But there was always this free spirit, as people say, inside of me that knew that a set of rules and rituals having to be done a certain way didn't work for me. And I wasn't being authentic to myself. I knew that it wasn't that I just was a rebel and didn't want to obey God. I knew that in my innateness, I knew I was God. I knew that I was not being true to me. When I started to walk away from the traditional sense of religion, it was very scary. It was a scary walk, but I did it, and I'm very proud of myself. And part of how I did it was using rituals like tapping, or crystal therapy, and that's one of the ones I want to talk to you about now, how I healed the little girl in me and how she's no longer in critical care or ICU. She's out of the hospital. It's a daily journey to not go back to that way, but I'm pretty good at it now because I know the triggers, and as soon as I see those triggers, I deal with them head on. I don't play games with it. I'm not a people pleaser anymore. I'm pleasing myself, and in pleasing myself, that's what really makes it better for everybody else, because when you're true to yourself, then you're not selfish, because being true to yourself means you know that being selfish is not the way to show up in the world. Being rude or hurting people on purpose, that's not the way you're not being true to yourself when you do that, when you're authentic with yourself. So those things are a part of damage, and that damage comes when people are young or in their mother's womb. There's a lot going on in energy, and we're picking up on it, the vibration. Everything on this planet is energy. Every single thing is energy. So if that's the case, then we can study and find out how that energy works and what particular energy each thing brings. And how you do that is, over time, our ancestors have done the work for us, and they've left clues, or they've left writings, or they left something to let us know, well, this is what this does. So this rose quartz is full of love and healing energy. I got this big old chunk because I like to be able to sit it on things. You can get it in a what do you call it, in a triangular shape. You may get a big circular piece. This is raw. It hasn't been polished. You may get it polished. It doesn't matter. It's what resonates with you. When I walked into that store, there was a lot of it on the counter that had just come in that morning, and I went over and I picked up each piece until I felt the piece, and this was the piece that felt like I belong to you. I cleanse it first by coming home and taking cold water from turning on the faucet and just rinsing it with cold water and imagining and visualizing that it is just running off any energy, any force that's been with this that's not me. And then I hold it like in both of my hands for a long period of time. I know when it feels right. Then that night I sleep with it either right on my dresser, or, and this is any crystal that I get, right by my bed, or I hold it or I put it in my pillow, just something to make it learn to vibrate and love me. Finally, that next day I place it on my heart chakra, and I just breathe in and out, allowing that love to infuse in my heart. I decided that this would be the stone with love that would help me release things that no longer served me. So when I wanted to heal the inner child, I didn't have this piece. I had a different piece, but I just got this piece and I wanted to share it with you. What I do is, I'm of the school of thought that by writing my birth name across the paper as many times as I can get it, my full name at birth, the date of my birth, and the time that I was born, I just write that over and over. You probably can't see it, but it's just written. That's that way. Then I turn the paper this way and I write what it is I want to rid myself of. But in this case of healing this pretty little girl, I also take a picture. This is a picture of me, and when I was about 13 or 14, my mother and I she got into an argument. I wasn't allowed to argue back, but she was very angry with me, and I tore her out of this picture. I went into my room and I cut her part out, like really tore her completely out of this picture. And then I had the boldness to go and put her face, her half, on her bed. When she saw it, I got a really good spanking for that. And I'm pretty sure now, looking back, it was more the hurt she felt that I was trying to cut her out of my life, not that I disrespected the picture. But I still have this half, and she still has her half. I think her half is in a box. And so anyway, but I use this picture, this little girl right here. That's me. That is me at maybe 1 year old, just happy. And so I take this picture. I think I was 2. I use this picture when I want to heal aspects of the little girl inside of me. So what I do, or did, when situations come up, is I take a few moments, and this may help if you get a playlist of songs that remind you of your childhood. For me, the song that reminds me the most of my childhood before my memory could really come is Love Child by the Supremes. Every time I hear that song, it invokes something in me, because although my parents were not nowhere near in love, I feel that I was that child that was never meant to be. I felt that I was that child that was never meant to be, born in poverty, you know, scorned by society. Like the song says, I feel all of that. And sometimes even now, as I'm thinking of it and hearing the words, it evokes some emotion in me. But now the emotion is joy that I recognize it. So you could get a playlist. It could be one song, it could be many, and allow that to play while you stare at that picture of yourself, the oldest picture you can find of yourself, just staring at it and allowing the feelings to come up. It's best to do this when you're alone, because people can sometimes judge you or make you feel like you can't be authentic. But when you're by yourself, even though you're never alone, because we have the energy of the angels and the ancestors always with us, they're loving energy, so they're supporting you and they want you to heal, because your healing helps them to heal and helps you to do some things that they might not have been able to do. So I stare at her, this beautiful little girl, and I talk to her and I let her know that all of those things don't matter anymore, because whatever age you're at when you're looking at it, that's the moment you're in. After I've done that and I've let it come through and hurt, I take her and I place her on my heart. And then I close my eyes and I imagine, or I feel, or I sense that I am wrapping my arms around her, that I am holding her, that I'm giving her the big old hug that she deserves. The big her is giving the little her a big old hug. Many spiritual practitioners tell you to do this, so I'm not making something up. This is something that I've done, that I heard about doing, and I tried it, and I'm just sharing it with you. So I hold her on my heart for however long feels right for you to do. You'll know when it's time, and the tears will come, and it may be snot tears, whatever it is, allow it to come. Don't stop it. The worst thing you can do is stop it in the process and have it just freeze in you, because you'll start to hurt. You may even develop constipation because you've stopped stuff. You may have backache because the back is what represents the past. So you may have lower back pain. You have to keep it flowing through. And if you do stop it, you can always pick it back up again and remove the pain. After I've done that, I look back at her. I tell her how beautiful she is, how amazing she is, how wanted she is, whatever your issues are. For me, it was feeling unworthy, or that I ruined my mother's life, because here I come and she didn't get to do all of the things she wanted to do. That's not true either. No matter how you came to this planet, you are not the burden of somebody else. You're not. You're an amazing, beautiful soul. And you're here because you have a divine purpose and a divine mission from the inner self, your soul that's still connected to the other side. We are beings of light and beings of love and joy, and we're here. You're here on purpose and on time. It wasn't a mistake. You are not a mistake, period. You are not a mistake. You are on purpose and you are on time, and your soul chose all of the circumstances of your birth. They chose your parents, they chose where you would live, all of that. You chose it. Be empowered by that, because if you know that you chose this existence, you can choose to live it the way you want to. So then after I've done all of that with this beautiful little girl, and I've written that, I put it on a sticky note because I use them constantly. I put it over top of her beautiful little face, and with this rose quartz that I've infused with love, I place it right on top. And I give that rose quartz the intention to heal her from whatever it is that moment I'm feeling and needed to be healed. After I've done that, I put her safely on my altar, not my ancestral altar, but my personal altar, with that on there. And I know when it feels right to remove it, and then just to let her stay there until the next thing that I need to heal from her. But it works for me. And I think part of it works is because I'm connecting myself back to that time and that space where that pain originated, which is in the womb. If you're pregnant, it would behoove you to watch what you say, who you're around, your thoughts, the music you listen to, because you are shaping a person in you, and the vibration that you're on, they will have. And I can tell you how you know this is true. If you hear from the doctor that what you eat and what you drink affects the baby, and they have babies who are born with alcohol fetal syndrome, or if the mother smokes, lots of times the baby is born with the neurological tendency to be very angry or depressed, because all that smoke, it's like being in a burning building and you can't escape. So the anger and the frustration, if you're angry all the time or frustrated, that's going into your womb, but this little life can't do anything about it but soak it up. So that's one of the ways that we shape our children. That's what I believe the scriptures mean when it says that we were born in sin and shaped in the iniquity. I don't believe that we're born in sin and it means that you're born a sinner, because you didn't do anything, so you're not born a sinner. But what we are is we're born with the propensity to take on the environment that shaped us. But the soul already knew that. I believe that I came here with a set of lessons that I needed to learn, and how I learned them vary based upon what road I take, because all roads lead back to home. That's why everybody dies. All roads lead back to home. Home is that spiritual space. So while I'm here, there are lessons I need to learn, but I believe that they also bring me up higher and higher and higher until eventually my soul is so bright. And you know how I believe that some people, they come here and they are such amazing spiritual leaders. I believe it's because they've risen up that energetic ladder, and this is the lifetime where they have the opportunity to share and to allow you to learn from some of the things that they teach you. So that's what I do when I want to heal that little girl in me. So a quick recap: you can have a rose quartz crystal or any crystal that resonates with you. The size of it also is up to you. You can or cannot write your full name at birth, the day you were born and the time, going across the paper as many times as you can. Then turn that paper and decide what you either want to release if it's near a full moon, or what you are if it's near a new moon, because the new moon is all about renewing. So on this paper I wrote I am worthy several times, because sometimes I deal with not feeling worthy, and it goes back to that space where I wasn't planned. So, but I was planned. So when I recognized that while I might not have been planned by my mother and my father, I was planned by my soul. And my soul said, we need to come. I want that nose, and I want the genetic makeup that these two people are going to make, and I want these experiences. So here we go. Here's Tracy. That's what I believe. So that's something that you could do. We are going to have a new moon on Monday. It's 6 a.m. You can Google it to make sure, but I know it's around 6 a.m. that the fullness and the energy of the new moon, new ideas, new births. You can do so many rituals. You can Google them. One of the rituals I'm going to do with the new moon is to write out all of these new things that I want to experience, and then I live, as you can see, my home is in the woods. My home is surrounded by lots of trees. So the upside to that is trees, which gives so much energy off. I find one, I'm going to dig a little hole and bury that paper in there, and then just love on that tree. I've always been a tree hugger. Long time ago, I found out from Ian Levanzant the energy of the tree. Ian Levanzant's a great resource. There are many great resources for spirituality. Even if you are in a religion, you can still, look into some of that if you feel to. Well, thank you so much for your time. I don't take it for granted. If you watch me this long, I'm grateful. I'm absolutely grateful. I hope that this day and all of your days actualize for you love, peace, joy, and understanding. Assalamu alaikum, namaste, hotep, shalom alaikum, peace out to Brooklyn and everywhere else.